Never been to one of my seminars here before. Welcome. What's your name? Michelle. Welcome. Nice to have you here. Did Mary invite you? Wonderful. Good job, Mary. All right. And Marty has not been to one of my seminars here. However, she's been in many of my seminars, and she's heard me speak many times. Since 1996, for 29 years, Marty has been hearing me speak. She is my godmother of public speaking. Marty Taub got me started with the River City Speakers Toastmasters organization here in Sacramento. So if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here. So everybody say, thank you, Marty. Ready? 1, 2, thank you, Marty. Okay. So if it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here. So I just want you to know that. She's my godmother of public speaking. She's my godmother. My mother is 88 years old, and they just moved. My parents both moved up to Portland, close to where my brother lives. So they just moved up there. So they are 88 and, no, wait a minute. She just turned 89. And my father turns 90 next month.
Good genes.
And they don't take care of themselves nearly as well as I do. So guess what? I'm going to go much further. And actually, there are different tests that you can take to help you predict your longevity. In all of them, I max out at 100. Max out at 100. So, anyway. I'm sorry?
Just don't drive down Route 99.
No, don't do that. Okay. We're ready? No, I don't need this. You need it. I'm on.
Somewhere back there. Okay, good evening, everybody. It's
time. We did a good job. We got this.
I was looking at. It's 18:35.
There you go.
All right.
Okay. Good.
I'll use some 24-hour clock on you. All right. Well, welcome once again. Good evening. Buenas noches. We're glad that you were able to make it on this lovely summer night. Yeah. It's been very nice. And today is a day that they decided to put the air conditioning the coldest. So I'm sorry if it's too cold, but it's easier to wrap up than to be hot and can't take everything off. So anyway, that didn't sound right. I don't know. You could edit that part out of the YouTube feed. Anyway, we are on YouTube tonight. It is live, so if you want to share it, tell somebody, go to youtube.com/CarmSDA, CARMSDA, and they can watch us there. So without any further ado, we'll just let Ruben, who's going to talk about happiness today, and to share with us a little bit about that. And so, Ruben, take it away.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. Tonight is a very exciting segment of lifestyle medicine. It's talking about happiness. When I first started studying psychology, everything was dreary and glum. It was all about abnormal. How many of you remember the old movie Young Frankenstein and Abby Normal? Remember Abby Normal? Well, psychology used to focus on Abby Normal. And it has since evolved. So starting in about the mid-1990s, we started to have a whole different field focusing on positive psychology. Positive psychology. Like, how can we actually be happy? How can we be happy? All right. And these guys having a conference back there. Pedro. He doesn't hear me. So it's all right. It's all right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about happiness. And it's very, very exciting because we have studied how we can actually adopt practices to make our life more joyful, more meaningful, more productive, and guess what? Healthier. How many of you would like to be happy and healthy? How's that sound? Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dive into that today. So I'm going to share with you today what I have learned about happiness. It's my own particular take. There's a few bits of research in this as well. But what I have learned, what gets in the way of being happy, and then how we can actually take on practices to be happier. So that's what we want to be able to take on today. Are you ready? We're going to have fun. So who is new here for the first time? They've never been to one of my seminars. Okay, I got one person. Yes. All right, Michelle, right? Okay, thank you for being here. It's awesome. Just to let all of you know, you will all get a follow-up email from me with all the slides. You'll get a link to all the slides. You'll also get all the resource information, and you'll get lots of things, including recipes. I'm going to set you up with all kinds of things. All right, so we're going to set you up with all of that. If you have been here before, make sure that you checked in on the check-in list in the back there. And if you have not been here, fill out a yellow card, and we'll get you taken care of. All right, so let's dive in. So just to get started, I want to share with you, so most of you already know that I'm a board-certified lifestyle medicine clinician. Lifestyle medicine is so exciting because it's the newest specialty of the American Medical Association. And it's an evidence-based approach to prevent, reverse, and treat chronic disease, evidence-based. And it includes many different aspects of how to be able to empower our lifestyle using a whole food, plant-predominant eating pattern, regular physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, avoidance of risky substances, and positive social connection, and much more. All of these are important to help us swing the pendulum from being predominantly sympathetic in the state of survival, far too much, far too often, far too long, and to help empower us to become predominantly in the parasympathetic state, where we thrive and we heal. And that is what we want to be able to do as a primary modality in helping people to become healthier. Medications, we're not opposed to them, but we say use them secondary. Use them as a last resort. Don't use them first. And then if we do that, and it's delivered by clinicians that are trained and certified in this specialty to prevent, treat, and often reverse chronic disease. Doesn't that sound like a winning plan? Yes. And we find that it's actually more effective than medications could ever be. So I expanded those areas. These are the 8 areas that I focus on with all of my clients. And the 2 areas that I add to those 6 previously mentioned are hydration and happiness. Yes, it's so important. About 70% of the work that I do with my clients has to deal with their mindset. Isn't that interesting? We get in our own way of being happy. How many of you know people that they choose to be unhappy all the time? Any of you know people like that? Yeah, my father is one. He wakes up angry. He's angry all day. And he goes to bed angry. Those are his own words. And I've never seen my father laugh. I've never seen him be happy about anything. He is one angry person. He was thrown out of his house when he was 12 years old in Veracruz, Mexico. His mother remarried, and his stepfather didn't like him. So my father became one of those children that you see when you go to places like Mexico, those kids at the gas stations offering to wash your windshield, selling oranges or whatever they can do just to make a quarter. My father was one of those children, and he was very resentful towards his stepfather, and he still is, and he's 89 years old. So he has chosen not to be happy. And it's really sad because I grew up with that. I grew up with an angry father all the time. All the time. So guess what happened to me? Ditto. Exactly. My mother was a perfectionist. My dad was a rageaholic. How much hope did I have? Not much. But I had to learn, and I'm so grateful that I had such wonderful teachers that came into my life that empowered me to start seeing myself in a whole different way. And now I'm actually on the committee in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. We have a special subcommittee on happiness. Isn't that amazing? I'm on the committee, yes, for bringing happiness into people's lives. And it's just awesome. October 2018, so it's now been almost 7 years that I became board certified as a lifestyle medicine clinician as a professional. So there's two categories. There's the physicians that are MDs and DOs that are board certified. They can dispense medications, but there's also the professional category, which is PhDs and those with a master's in a health-related field. We don't dispense medications. So we just take care of doing the coaching and the teaching for health to empower people to be able to live a thriving, healthy, happy life, but no medications. So just so those of you who, Michelle, you don't know, I wrote this book on health back in 2011 called Evolving Health, and I'm very excited, very, very excited because we're getting so much closer to being able to launch my 5th book, How to Fully Live. So exciting. I had a meeting with my eldest son today. So we're doing the work and we're planning, and in fact, we're going to actually do a test model of the book with 3 different publishers for printing it out. This Sunday, we're going to order that up, so it's going to be really great. So it's so exciting, and I have finalized 20 of my 27 chapters, and I'll be done by the end of this month, and then we're ready to rock and roll. So it's going to be very, very exciting. So we'll have books available to you very soon. I'm so excited because you will love it, I promise you. But what I get to do every single day is live into this quote that Thomas Edison said well over 100 years ago, that the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patient in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. And that's what we get to do in lifestyle medicine every day. We are the doctors of the future now. And I was one of the first board-certified clinicians. My number on my certificate is 00081. And today, there are over 6,500 board-certified clinicians, and it's so exciting. And one of them is my good friend, who I went to medical school, Dr. Suzanne Tuber. And so she got board-certified last year. So exciting. So more and more of us are getting certified in this incredible arena, and it's fantastic. And just so you know, Michelle, I have absolutely no conflicts of interest whatsoever. So I have no gimmicks, no schemes, no multi-level marketing plans for you, none of that. I have no products to sell you whatsoever. I'm an educator, and I'm here to make a difference because I'm passionate about eliminating chronic disease from the face of the planet. That's what I'm passionate about. That's a big, tall order, isn't it? Yeah, I'm passionate about that. And being able to empower every single person to live a thriving, healthy, happy life. That's why I'm here. Now, happiness is really an incredible concept. Everybody loves to be happy, right? We love to be happy. Where did we first start learning about the word happiness? Where did you first learn about the word happiness? Who can tell me? As a child, yes. Specifically, the word happiness. What was a reference point for you for the word? Happy birthday. That's a great reference point. What's another reference point?
Ice cream.
Ice cream for... What's another reference point for a happiness? How did you learn?
Children's story in Happily Ever After.
Happily Ever After and all the fairy tales. Absolutely, Walt Disney, right? So one of the things to think about, it's very interesting when we look at the genesis of this country. There's a document that you may have read a long time ago. It's called the Declaration of Independence. And in that document, in the preamble, it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay. Isn't that powerful? The founders of our nation put that in that first document, the Declaration of Independence. I love what Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote. But happiness is like a butterfly, which, when pursued, is always beyond our grasp. But if you will sit down quietly, may alight upon you. Isn't that fascinating? I love this one from the wisdom of Shang-Tzu. Happiness is the absence of striving for happiness. Isn't that interesting? Whoa, mind blown, right? Happiness is the absence of striving for happiness. And I love this one from Buddha. It's very, very powerful. That happiness is a journey, not a destination. I love this. Work like you don't need money. How many of us are fortunate enough to be able to do that? I am. I'm so blessed. It's so incredible. Love like you've never been hurt, and dance like no one's watching. And I do all the time in my kitchen. So here's what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to cover what gets in the way of our happiness. We need to see that. It's important. We cannot ignore that. Then we need to discover the path to happiness, the journey. What is the journey? And then what are some practices that we can take that help us to become even happier in our life? We've learned this from happiness psychology, and then I'll finish off with discussing how we can have the rest of our life be the best of our life. So let's dive in. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so let's look at what gets in the way. What gets in the way? Yes. Well, consider for a moment that we get in our own way. We get in our own way. How many of you have ever heard somebody tell you, "You don't make me happy"? I mean, anybody ever hear that before? Oh, yeah. "You're making me unhappy. You're costing me my happiness." I was married to a woman who said that every day. Frightening. So sometimes we don't realize that we actually get in our own way. We do. I love what Yogananda wrote back in 1946 in his autobiography. He said, millions of people never analyze themselves. Mentally, they are mechanical products of the factory of their environment, preoccupied with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, working and sleeping, and going here and there to be entertained. They don't know what or why they are seeking, nor why they never realize complete happiness and lasting satisfaction. By evading self-analysis, people go on being robots, conditioned by their environment. True self-analysis is the greatest art of progress. True self-analysis is the greatest art of progress. And most of us, if you look around, if you just really watch people, you'll notice that so many people are on autopilot most of the time, aren't they? They're doing the same things every day. And we get into this automation of doing the same things. Now, in psychology, we study something called conditioning. How many of you took a class in psychology? Anybody here? Okay, so how many of you remember Pavlov's little dog? How many of you remember that? Okay, the ring of the bell, the dog salivates because it's expecting the food. And we all get conditioned. And as Dr. Bruce Lipton says, watch the Matrix movies. How many of you have seen the Matrix movies? powerful movies. Watch it again because Dr. Bruce Lipton says they are not science fiction. The Matrix movies are a documentary. Because what most of us do, and we don't realize it, is that 95% of the time that we're living our life, we're actually on autopilot based on our subconscious mind. That's what we do. I've been in San Francisco. I walked from Market Street to my customers, my clients, but next to the Transamerica building. And out of a 1.25 mile walk, I would have eye contact with only 2 people because everybody else was down here. Every time I walked, my average was 2 people in 1.25 miles of walking. We have so many of us are living on autopilot, and we don't realize it. We don't realize it. So one of the things that I learned a long time ago is that we are living most of the time either in the past or in the future. That's how most of us live. And very few of us spend much time living in the present. Now, it's clear, we know how you got to be the person that you are today in the present moment. What shaped you, what molded you, what influenced you were all the things that happened in your past, right? Your parents, your teachers, your education, media, good decisions, bad decisions, heartaches. How many of you have ever had your heart broken? Okay, yeah, all of us. Those things change our lives. Now, here's what happens. Do we leave that stuff in the past? No. No. So things happen. We get a heart broken. And then we say to ourselves the famous words, I'm sure you've said many times, which are, I'm never going to do that again, right? Now, we say, how many of you have said that? How many of you said, I know you all said that, right? I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again. And then where did we relocate that decision? Did we leave it in the past? No. So present or the future, where did we put it? All the way out into the future. We put it all the way out in the future. Why? To protect us in the event that we came up against the same circumstances that plagued us in the past. And so then we're dating and we're trying to meet somebody new. And we think our past is in the past. We've got no baggage. Hi, my name's Ruben. I'm a really nice guy. I got no baggage. I'm really ready for a relationship. Would you like to go out with me? And we think we've got it all in the past behind us. Think again. Think again. So I introduced this graphic a while back, but if you haven't seen it, this is such a powerful graphic. And it's an opportunity to explore what keeps you from your happiness is when you're living in your past or living in your future. And this is what we tend to do as human beings. Because if we're going to really take on a happier life, we have to learn how to become more present. So if you notice for yourself that you're experiencing the feelings of guilt, shame, and regret, you're living in the past. If you're feeling sad or depressed, you're living in the past. If you're dwelling on what happened long ago, you're living in the past. If you're replaying those events and conversations from the past over and over, you're living in the past. If you're overanalyzing, how many of you know the paralysis of analysis? Then you're living in the past. It's keeping you from your happiness. If you experience a fear of the unknown, you're dwelling in uncertainty and it's got a grip on you, you're living in the future. If you're worrying about what could happen, you're living in the future. If you're feeling anxious for what is to come and you're anxious about it, you're living in the future. If you're overthinking what if scenarios, you're living in the future. And if you focus on thinking about the worst case scenario, again, you're living in the future. So it's not bad to notice the past or learn from the past. It's not bad to learn from the past. We want to learn from our past. It's valuable, but don't live there. And it's valuable to prepare for our future. But again, don't live there. Life is now. Life is happening right now. And what we want to be able to do is spend time being happy. Jesus said, "Be ye like the little children." Why? Where do they live? In the present. In the present. He was teaching us that a long time ago. Be ye like the little children. So, to be living in the present, if you experience clarity of your mind, purpose, and where are you going, you're living in the present. If you experience acceptance of yourself and of others, you're living in the present. If you experience a joy of being a human being, and you're just really relishing that, you're living in the present. If you seek first understanding rather than to be understood, then you are living in the present. If you are experiencing inner peace and calm and tranquility, you are living in the present. And if you practice gratitude for everything, you are living in the present. This slide will save your life. It will. Here's my invitation to all of you. When you get the slides, print this out. Put it somewhere where you can see it so it can remind you. It's a very quick way to jolt you out of living in the past or living in the future, and it will help you. Christy, your friend's here. Justin? Okay, very good. So, how do we jolt ourselves? We need a radical, different approach. As Einstein said, the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking we were at when we created them. Well, Einstein was telling us a lot in this quote because he was telling us not only do we have to think in a different way, right? We have to think in a different way than we originally were. But we also have to take responsibility for the fact that we caused our own problems, not intentionally, but subconsciously. Subconsciously. And this is so elegant in a way how he said this. So we created our problems subconsciously. Well, we've studied more and more about the subconscious over the years. And one of my favorite teachers in studying the subconscious is Dr. Bruce Lipton. He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief and a few other books. But he tells us about the subconscious this way, is that 95% of our life is coming from the subconscious programs of how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of our life. This is a stunning statistic because it's basically teaching us that we are programmed in the first 7 years to the extent of 95% of what we do in our lives. And there's a reason for this, because our brain is functioning on a different frequency in the first 7 years of our life. It's called the theta frequency, which is the same as hypnosis. Little children are in a hypnotic trance. How many of you are parents and know this already? I have 4. So I've been through it a few times. So the thing is, we all were, all of us, we were in that state. And what we did in the first 7 years, we learned about how to live life, not with rational and logical deduction. No, it wasn't happening. We basically downloaded everything that we saw, that we would see, hear, feel, taste, touch, smell, and experience. We just downloaded everything. Our brain is 100% perfect recording machine, imperfect recall. Imperfect recall. So it's really important to understand this. We downloaded everything, and a lot of it came from our parents. So then we're an adult, and we think we're acting consciously. Think again. We open up our mind, we wake up in the morning, our brain's like a laptop computer, and there on the desktop are all these icons of all these subconscious programs of how to live life. Program for waking up, program for grooming in the morning, program for breakfast, program for commuting to work, program for work, a program for getting home from work, a program for Netflix, a program for dinner. Okay, all of those, they're all programs. And most of us run most of the programs consistently day after day after day. And as Bruce Lipton talks about, are we running our lives with conscious mind? Or are we running our lives with the subconscious programs? Well, science has revealed that only 5% of the day are we operating our nervous system using the conscious mind's creative wishes and desires. 95% of the day, our life is coming straight out of the programs in our subconscious. That's an alarming statistic. How many of you have felt from time to time that you're interacting with little children in adult bodies? How many of you have ever felt that? It's true. And it's true for me, and it's true for you, and it's true for all of us. Some interesting facts about the subconscious mind and how it works, because it's so powerful. It records everything, 100%. Always alert and awake. It controls 95% of our lives. It's built on habituation and repetition. You learned how to drive a car with practice, didn't you? How many of you have the same amount of intense focus you had the first day you got behind the wheel? None of us. That doesn't happen. So we have to realize habituation allows us to program our subconscious. Now, it speaks to us in our dreams, but it's not verbal language at all. It is emotional, and it takes everything literally. It can do a trillion things all at once. It's not logical at all. It's completely emotional and the feeling mind. So that's how the subconscious works. And that's sometimes referred to as our inner child, our monkey mind, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Now, there's different layers to the subconscious. I have a whole program where I go through this. But the key here that I want to point out, the key of what drives the subconscious when we sabotage ourselves. How many of you have ever sabotaged yourself? Okay, liars, raise your hand. Okay, we've all done it, right? So what's at the root of self-sabotage is fear. In psychology, we talk about the two most powerful motivational forces for us as human beings. One is fear. The other is love and desire. Fear is a powerful motivator. And many times, fear is the first thing that gets us going to motivate us to change. So fear is very, very powerful. One of the principles of psychology, who was considered the father of modern psychology, Carl Jung, and he said this, that where your fear is, there your task is. So if we're going to change our life and become happier, this is the task, is to be realistic about and recognize our fears. We've all got them. And we've got many fears that we learned and we got conditioned to believe. Some of you believe that little daddy long-legged spider is going to get you. You believe that, but it's not true. So there are many fears that we've learned along the way. Justin, what's your question?
My answer to the question about fear is that I've got a phobia of dogs. Now, mind you, I've been bitten once by a dog, but I've got a small phobia of dogs, and I'm going to be facing that fear this next Wednesday. I'm very proud of myself.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Give Justin a round of applause. Facing his fear. Outstanding. Outstanding. Emerson said, one does not truly live who does not face at least one fear daily. Powerful, Justin. Very powerful. Yes, yes. So fears, consider this. Our fears are simply beliefs. We have learned to believe to be afraid of what we're afraid of. We have been conditioned to believe what we believe to be that we're afraid of. But beliefs in psychology, we define them as thoughts trusted to be true and that they are strongly held opinions. Now, in psychology, we do not say that beliefs are right or wrong or good or bad. However, beliefs can be empowering or disempowering. Now, that's very powerful to look at. So beliefs can be empowering or disempowering. So we're not going to judge the beliefs, but we can look to see what the results are of our beliefs. So here's some examples of disempowering beliefs. A fear of failure that stops you from ever trying to do anything different in your life. The card of blame, shame, and guilt. We play that both ways. We impose it on others and we impose it on ourselves. That's disempowering. Practicing being in the states of worry and anxiety is disempowering. Attachments to what we think should or should not be can be disempowering. Fanaticism, being absolutely exclusive about our rights, our beliefs being right or wrong, can be disempowering. Poor self-talk, negative self-talk, and how we talk to ourselves can be disempowering. A victim mentality is also disempowering. Slavery is disempowering. Racism is disempowering beliefs. Misogyny is also a disempowering belief. So we can see that many beliefs can actually be disempowering to ourselves and to others. But empowering beliefs are very powerful. They empower us to actually live richer, more fulfilling, and happier lives. Faith is a powerful, empowering belief. And we see that in the blue zones. We see that faith is absolutely instrumental in living a longer, thriving, healthy life. Spirituality, looking within to becoming a better human being, is also an empowering belief. Positive self-talk, speaking to ourselves favorably and accepting ourselves for who we are and not being critical of ourselves. A growth mindset is also empowering. Determination and focus. Values and principles can also be empowering. These are very, very empowering beliefs. So we want to look at what are the disempowering beliefs that get in the way, because it's our disempowering beliefs that lead to us suffering and excluding us from happiness. One of my favorite teachers, Dan Millman, he said this, that life is not meant to be suffering. It's not. It's not. It's just that you will suffer it rather than enjoy it until you let go of your mind's attachments and just go for the ride freely, no matter what happens. That's powerful to think about. One of my favorite teachers, Dr. Wayne Dyer. How many of you know that name? Wonderful teacher. And he said, so how do we go through life going for the ride freely? And it's a very simple explanation. I love this one. So to be able to go through life freely, going for the ride freely, how many of you would like to get that? And like you can get the whole seminar right now. How many of you would like to get it right now? All right, here you go. So here's how it goes. He said it can be kept, it's in a song. It's very simple. You already know the song. You probably have never thought of the lyrics of this song, but this song works, and it works really well. And if you practice saying the lyrics of this song, you'll get what it means. And here's how we can go through life freely. Row. Row. Row your boat, not somebody else's boat. Do not jump in somebody else's boat. Do not let anybody else jump into your boat. Row only your boat, and don't let anybody else row your boat either. Row only your boat. How many of you have tried climbing into somebody else's boat? Don't do that. How many of you have let somebody else jump into your boat? Don't do that either. Okay, row only your boat. Now, there's more to the song, right? Row gently, calmly, peacefully, down the stream of life with the current of life. Please do not row vigorously, anxiously, and feverishly back upstream into the past. Don't go back up into the rocks, into the waterfalls. Don't do that. Stay away from going back upstream. Row gently down the stream with the current of life. Now, as you do that, do it merrily and joyfully and gratefully, because you will not come this way again. So enjoy the surroundings. Enjoy the beautiful trees, the wildlife. Enjoy the beauty that life presents to you as you're traveling down this beautiful stream of life. Remember that your life is but a dream that you get to create, if you choose to do so. How many of you accept the mission to row your boat? Good. So when you get in the shower in the morning, allow yourself to sing. Join me. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. Touché. All right, very good. Outstanding. So don't forget that experience. Sing the song. Now, to do that, we have to let go of our attachments. I recommend this book highly. Highly, highly, highly. The 5 Levels of Attachment by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. He lives up in Rockland, so he's close to us. Absolutely phenomenal book that helps us examine to what degree we are holding on to attachments. Preference is a mild attachment. That means we're okay going to the Kings game, and we'd like to see the Kings beat the Golden State Warriors, but we're okay if they don't. That's a mild level of attachment. The next level of attachment that's stronger than that is number 3, which is identity. And we show up at the Kings game, and we're wearing a Kings hat, a Kings jersey, and a Kings jacket. We're decked out. It's obvious to everyone in the world that we are a Kings fan. And then internalization, what we do is we internalize that egoic label and make it a condition for self-acceptance. And now we are attached that the Kings should beat the Golden State Warriors, and if they don't, I will get upset and angry. And I will yell at anybody else that's near me who is a Golden State Warriors fan. That's internalization. But then the highest level and degree of attachment is fanaticism. This is extreme. And now what happens is we make it a condition for anyone to be in our circle. Instead of should, it's now must. You must believe what I believe, otherwise it's off with your head. And some people act that way. How many of you know a few people who are fanatics about different things? Yeah, there are fanatical people, and there's a lot of fanaticism in the world that we see today. So what we need to be able to do, as Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. talks about, is transcend our attachments to becoming as authentic as we possibly can. That's the first level. And how he defines authenticity is living with no attachments. Easier said than done. But when we can actually live with no attachments, we can experience joy and freedom and happiness. So this is a key to happiness, is learning how to live with no attachments. I love what he said here. Of all the beliefs to detach from, this is the most important one. Let go of the attachment that you must obtain some image of perfection in order to be happy. That's very powerful. It's very, very powerful. And very deep. Yes, it is. It's very, very powerful. Here's the problem that a lot of us face as human beings. I love what Thich Nhat Hanh, one of my favorite teachers, he said this: people have a hard time letting go of their suffering out of a fear of the unknown. They prefer suffering that is familiar. I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I've seen this in so many ways. I've had friends who were married to a husband who abused them horribly. And out of a fear of leaving that situation, they prefer to stay in that situation that was familiar. It happens all the time. So, what's the path? What's the path to actually creating a thriving, healthy, happy life? There is such a thing. There's a path. There's a path. In fact, there was an incredible documentary that came out quite a few years ago. How many of you saw this documentary called Happy? Anybody here? We have one person. What did you get most from watching that documentary?
That it all is your own making.
Absolutely, absolutely. What did you get from watching that? It was fun. It was amazing, right? Like, it was incredible because it contrasted so many of us that live in a culture that focuses on money as a source of happiness when it isn't. And yet there were the people that were in Ceylon, India, and the guy that was actually, he was a human taxi driver. And his house had nothing to speak of. It was dirt floors, and they were absolutely happy. They were content in their lives. So it was really amazing. It was a great documentary. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. So it's just fantastic. One of my favorite teachers, Byron Katie, this is one of the things that she said a long time ago, and I love this. It really hits home. I discovered, she said, that when I believed my thoughts, I suffered. But that when I didn't believe them, I didn't suffer. And that this is true for every human being. Now, she's talking about those negative thoughts, all right? She's talking about those negative thoughts. Freedom is as simple as that. I found a joy within me that has never disappeared, not for a single moment. That joy is in everyone always. Powerful words. Powerful words to think about. When we believe the thoughts that we say to ourselves, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, I have to work too hard to get there, I never get anywhere, I'm always going to be overweight. When we believe those thoughts, we will suffer. So we have to learn how to not believe those thoughts. A wonderful story that I got a long time ago, one of my teachers shared this with me. And it's a beautiful story to illustrate the power of letting go of our attachments and really being able to let go of our beliefs that certain things are more important than the real things that matter. And this story is called The Wise Woman's Stone. A wise woman who was traveling in the mountains found a precious stone in a stream. The next day, she met another traveler who was hungry, and the wise woman opened her bag to share her food. The hungry traveler saw the precious stone and asked the woman to give it to him. She did so without any hesitation. Wow. The traveler left, rejoicing in his good fortune. He knew the stone was worth enough to give him security for a lifetime. But a few days later, He came back to return the stone to the wise woman. I've been thinking, he said. I know how valuable the stone is, but I'm giving it back in the hope that you can give me something even more precious. Please, give me what you have within you that enabled you to give me the stone without pause. Powerful. Powerful story. So read this story from time to time. One of my favorites is Dr. Viktor Frankl. How many of you know that name? How many of you read Man's Search for Meaning? Absolutely a classic book. I recommend it highly. He was an extraordinary human being. And I love one of the things that he said, is that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Our response lies in the growth, in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Now, to point out something here is the converse, and that is this. Between stimulus and reaction, there is no space. Between stimulus and reaction, there is no space. When we have just reaction, we're not choosing anything. We're operating from our subconscious mind. And when we're doing that, we suffer. So take on being able to recognize when you get triggered, and all of us do. All of us get triggered. We will all get triggered. So when you get triggered, here's the exercise. This is part of the path. Salud. And that is to practice the pause. Practice the pause. So when you notice yourself feeling that visceral feeling, that anxiousness, that anxiety, that anger, that warmth, that fire, whatever that case may be, when you get triggered, how many of you know what I'm talking about, right? And when you feel that, what Viktor Frankl is talking about here is practice the pause. Take a deep breath. Pause. Allow yourself to give yourself a chance to choose a response. Powerful exercise. Now, another part of the path, another practice, another thing to distinguish here is the difference between pleasure and happiness. And far too often, too many people collapse the two. They think pleasure and happiness are the same things. They are not. They are not. There's a difference between pleasure and happiness. So many people, when we're in the sympathetic state, the state of survival, fight, flight, freeze, and fold, for whatever reason, we are wired to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. But we seek pleasure. Pleasure is immediate gratification. It's very temporary. There's very little effort involved. Usually it's a sugar cookie. It fluctuates in terms of the pleasure. And usually it's an avoidance of pain, and it generally leads to more suffering down the line. That's pleasure. And we're wired when we're in the state of survival to seek pleasure like that. But happiness is different, and it actually fires different parts of the brain, all throughout the brain. And it's involving delayed gratification. It's not immediate gratification. When we're practicing happiness practices, it becomes sustainable, and it really empowers our growth in our mind. It requires consistency of effort. You can't just do it for a day. It's going to take a lot of work. You have to be persistent, and it may require initial pain and sacrifice, but it's worth it. It's worth it in the long run. It leads to liberation and no suffering. It's very powerful. We as human beings are wired to seek pleasure when we're in stress, when we're in survival. And it's no different than how all the animals function in the same way. We all are wired the same way. One of my friends, Dr. Doug Lisle, he talks about in his book called The Pleasure Trap. Fabulous book. And we can get caught up in the pleasure trap just like the animals do. So to give you an example, all right, so we have a male shark swimming around, and the male shark is thinking food, sex, food, sex, food, sex, food, sex. And the female shark is swimming around and thinking food, sex, food, sex, food, sex, food, sex. And then they meet and they think it's happiness. No, it's just pleasure. It's just pleasure. They both want the same things, but it's just pleasure. So the trap that we have is this dysfunctional paradigm that we live in this world that we live in, is that we have collapsed accomplishment to mean the same thing as success. If you have $1 million in the bank and you have your retirement account and you've got this beautiful home and you've got all these wonderful cars and you have all this wonderful clothing, you are successful. Nothing could be further from the truth. I know people who are multi-millionaires and miserable. How many of you know people like that? I do. It's crazy. So accomplishment does not equate to success. It's a dysfunctional paradigm. One of my favorite teachers, now I'm a basketball player. Any basketball players here? Any basketball players here? Anybody? Okay, very good. We got a basketball player. So one of my favorite teachers was Coach John Wooden. Now, I didn't get to play for UCLA. I wanted to. But I got to learn so much from Coach Wooden. And one day I got to meet Coach Wooden because Coach Wooden was an extraordinary human being, absolutely extraordinary. He led the UCLA men's basketball team to a whopping 10 national championships. Absolutely amazing. He didn't teach basketball. He taught how to live life. When he started his coaching career in the 1930s, he didn't want his players to get caught up in this trap. He didn't want them to think that their success as basketball players was tied to their wins versus losses. He didn't want them to get caught up in that paradigm. So he went to work, and based on biblical principles that he learned from his parents, he redefined success. And he wanted to make it so clear to all his players. So this is what he wrote, that success is different than accomplishment. Accomplishment, nothing bad or wrong with it. That's winning the games. That's fine. But success is peace of mind. It's a mindset. It's peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction and knowing that you have made the effort to be and to do the best of what you're capable of. And to that, I add 2 words, right now. Right now. Because it's a moment-by-moment experience. Success can be experienced in the moment when you're doing your best to be the best that you're capable of, and you continue to strive to be your best at all times. That is living a life of success and happiness. And happiness. And it's extraordinary. It really is. And I love this definition.
Is he the one who said if you're going to talk the talk, you have to walk the walk?
I'm not sure about that one. I know most of his quotes, but I'm not sure. But I think that might be one of his quotes. I'm not sure. I've heard that quote, but I'm not sure if that's attributed to him. Yeah. So success, another one of my teachers, Jim Rohn, he said this, success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become. And here's why he said this. And I remember him saying this in a seminar that I was at. And he said, the accomplishment of any goal in itself, the accomplishment is secondary to the person you become in the process. Who you become in the process is always more important than the accomplishment itself. Do you become a stronger person? Do you become a more humble person? Do you become a stronger person in your values and principles? Do you become a champion? That's what he was talking about. It's who you attract in your life, who you attract yourself to be. One of my swimmers in 1993 worked for me. John Pyland, as an assistant coach. He started working for me. And when I started working with him, I found him to be absolutely amazing with all the kids. He was so great with all of them. He connected with them. He had this wonderful, loving, kind personality. He was just amazing. And he was 21 years old and had the body of a god. It was amazing. Now, when I looked at his resume again, I noticed something very interesting. Because 3 years earlier, he had been the breaststroker of the American record-setting 200 medley relay team. They were all in high school at Arden Hills, and they set the national record for the 200-yard medley relay. No small feat. Most of the time, that record's held by collegiate teams. But they did that at Arden Hills. John's teammates all got Division I scholarship offers, as you can imagine. John got a scholarship offer to USC, a Division I school. But John had not qualified and swam at senior nationals yet. His coach, the famous Sherm Shavor, told John, "You've never made it to seniors, you'll never make it at Division I level of swimming." John Pyland walked away from the scholarship and hung the Speedo up to dry. 3 years later, his life was just cleaning swimming pools for Jeremiah Pools and teaching little kids how to swim. No schooling, no education, he just stayed in shape. So now here he is in front of me. And I asked him, I said, "John, would you do me the favor and the honor of swimming a couple of laps of breaststroke for me? I want to watch you swim." And he said, "Sure." So we pushed off and started swimming breaststroke. How many of you have had the experience of absolutely, completely seeing the potential that somebody else has that they can't see for themselves? How many of you know what that's like, right? Like you see it in them and they can't see it for themselves. That moment was a come to Jesus moment for me because I saw the glory of who he was that he didn't see in himself. And it was extraordinary. Now, I had coached for years, many years. I had developed swimmers, and it took years to develop them. Here was a gift in front of me, a 21-year-old with all the talent, all the skill, all the raw material right there. And as he got done, I went down on one knee, and I was ready for him when he came up at the end of the pool, and I said, "You're not done yet." You have the body of a God. And I'm clear that you can do anything if you put your whole heart, mind, and soul into it. But I'm clear you would not be here in this state, in this situation, if you hadn't let go of your dream. What was your dream that you let go of? And John choked up as he shared with me that his dream was to swim at the United States Olympic Trials, which is one of the most competitive swim meets in the entire world. He felt he had it in him, but nobody else believed in him. But I did in that moment. I knew he could do it. And I said, look, John, I'm not going to kid you. You've got 3 years to make it happen. Number one, you're going to have to work harder than you've ever worked in your entire life. I'm not going to kid you about it. Number two, you're going to have to revamp your stroke technique. That I can teach you. But number three, and the most important, you're going to need to be willing to be coachable. And that's the toughest journey because it's in here. You're going to need to be willing to be coachable and not think that you have it all figured out. To be able to create a dynamic partnership with me such that I trust you, you trust me, but most importantly, you trust yourself. Now, if you're willing to go after this, I will partner with you. What do you say? And he said, yes. Now, it was not easy. The only time we had pool time was 5:30 in the morning. But we got together and we worked together. And if he didn't show up, guess what I was doing at 5:35? Get your butt out of bed and get down here. I'm waiting for you. Absolutely. I had to hold him accountable to his dream. But then after a year, he started becoming what I call reluctantly coachable. He started doing everything I asked him to do. He put his whole heart and soul into it. However, he still had doubt. He didn't know if he could make it. And we went to senior nationals and at the Pasadena and the Rose Bowl Aquatic Center down in Pasadena. And he said, Coach, I don't know if I can do this. These guys are fast. I said, John, you don't have to worry about what you believe. Trust in what I believe. I know you will be here. You will be here next year. And the next year, sure enough, he was. And he swam senior nationals both times, missed the qualifying time for the senior nationals by 0.2 of a second both times. That's the time between those two claps. After 100 meters. In the spring of 1996, he swam at senior nationals. Again, usually that's the final qualifying meet for the Olympic trials in June. And he swam the 100-meter breaststroke and missed the qualifying time by 1/100th of a second. I can't clap that fast. Fortunately, there was a final time trial opportunity. Now, in a time trial, all the officials are there, and it's you, the lane, and the clock. There's nobody else. There's no race. There's nobody else there. It's just you, your lane, and the clock. And you can swim as many times as you need to, but there's a limit to how long they're going to be there. There's a limited amount of time. They're only there for a few hours. In the spring of 1996, John Pyland, on his 8th swim, qualified for the United States Olympic trials, the final person to qualify, by 4/100ths of a second. And was totally exhausted afterwards. When he was introduced in Indianapolis for the Olympic trials, they paused to share about John Pyland and how he had quit the sport for 3 years, then trained for 3 years, and was the final person to qualify for the United States Olympic trials by 4/100ths. And he was acknowledged with a standing ovation. It was a great accomplishment. But as Jim Rohn talks about here, what is more important is the person you become. John Pyland today is a very dear friend of mine. He's 53 years old. He has become an incredibly successful in every stretch of the word, in the true meaning of the word. He is absolutely an incredibly effective senior account manager for Google. He handles their biggest clients, and they love him at Google. He's got this beautiful home that he built in Grass Valley, and he owns this wonderful ski lodge in the Olympic Village, and the Cal Berkeley ski team skis there every single winter. And he has an incredible, happy life. And he's thriving, and he's fit, and he's still swimming. And I'm going to be swimming with him in April at the Pacific Masters Northern California Championships. And that's what it takes. It's who you become in the process. It's not what you accomplish. So the dysfunctional paradigm that we've been faced with in the society that we live in is that if you work really hard, okay, and you get your degrees and you get your job, then you'll be successful. And then if you're successful, then you can be happy. Maybe. But that's not how it actually works. And what we've studied in positive psychology is that it's absolutely the reverse. That if you choose to be happy, you choose your mindset of being happy, then what happens is that you learn to live inside of your passion. You learn to live what really has been instilled in you by God. One of my favorite ministers, he talks about the greatest journey that we have is 16 inches from our brain to our heart. In our brain, we function from our ego. Minister Les Brown, he says, ego, the acronym for ego is edging God out. Edging God out. When we live in our head, in the past or the future, we are edging God out. And so what we have to do is learn to live in our heart. And that's where God speaks to us. God speaks to us in our heart, and that's what it means to be in the present. That's what it means to live in the present. And when we do that, then we will experience true success as Coach Wooden defined it, that peace of mind. Happiness is a choice. It's not a destination. It's a choice. It's not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy for yourself. Your happiness will not come to you from anything external at all. It can only come from within, from you. I love this affirmation statement. I choose to be happy. I choose it. I choose to be happy. Powerful statement. One of the experts in happiness research and happiness psychology is Dr. Sean Achor out of Harvard University. Absolutely brilliant. I'm going to send you his TED Talk. He is absolutely hilarious. So you want to watch it. It's really great. He wrote the book called The Happiness Advantage. Now, his research shows that practicing these happiness practices led to these outcomes: 37% more success, 19% more accuracy, 300% more creativity, 23% fewer fatigue symptoms, up to 10 times more engaged, 1,000%, and 31% more productive. How many of you'd like to have those kinds of results? Anybody here? Anybody? Yes, Justin says yes. Okay, very good. So here are the 6 practices that Dr. Sean Achor recommends. There's many different approaches, but this is a very solid 6, and it's got evidence behind it. So this is evidence-based, so that's why I love to share this. Number 1 is, and so many teachers say the same thing, is gratitude. Practice being grateful for what you have, and stop complaining for what you don't have. Stop it. Just be grateful for everything. Number 2 is the doubler. That means you expand on one thing that you're grateful for from the day before. And you can take a shortcut. Share it with somebody. Tell somebody, wow, Dick, you won't believe this wonderful documentary I saw. It was so exciting. It was really great. And we talked about this, this, and this, and this. And I share it with enthusiasm and excitement to Dick. And Dick lights up and he says, great, I got to watch that. So share with somebody. Share your excitement and enthusiasm, what you're grateful for. Number 3 is the fun 15. That means get outside. Get some exposure to the sun and activity. Get out there. Get outside. Number 4 is meditation and stillness, being able to really be still. Most of us are not still. Practice that. Spend at least a few minutes doing that every day. Number 5, one of my favorites, conscious acts of kindness. And this could be from something really small to anything big. It doesn't have to be anything big, but just even little things. Conscious acts of kindness. Do something nice for somebody else. Whether it's a text message, an email, whether it's a phone call to just say thank you and appreciate somebody, or maybe you just grab the shopping cart at Trader Joe's that's way out in the distant parking lot and you walk it in. That's an act of kindness. Anything will do. Do something outside of yourself. And then the 6th one is deepening your social connections. Really important. We show in the research in the blue zones, the number 1 factor contributing to longevity is the strength of your positive social connections. So take the time to build them up. It really is so important. Your relationships matter. They are so important. Now, recently, in fact, one of my colleagues, Dr. Tuber, she pointed something out to me. There's this really innovative project that's going on around the world. It's called the Big Joy Project. It just got started recently. Now, in 7 minutes a day, if you take on these 7 minutes of practices for 7 days in a row, we actually have data showing that people actually have so much more happiness. And so you practice what are called these micro acts of joy. Micro acts of joy. And you practice and you discover which of these micro acts of joy work best for you. And be part of the largest ever citizen science project on joy. How many of you would like to join? It's really great. I'm going to send you information. It is really quite extraordinary. So up to date, there's over 430,000 micro acts of joy that have been practiced. 105,000 plus participants, 217 countries, 27,000 plus in the United States alone. And there's the website. I'll send you more information as well. But here are the 7 micro acts of joy. Number 1, celebrate another person's joy. Celebrate. If they're happy, get excited with them. Yes, be a cheerleader. Number 2, shift your perspective. When there's an opportunity to actually think a different way, shift your perspective. Be open to a new idea. Number 3, do something kind. We already talked about that. Number 4, tune in to what matters for you, your values and your principles. Tune into that. Really be clear about that. What matters to you? Number 5, make a gratitude list. We've talked about gratitude already. Such an important practice. I love this one. Number 6, dwell in awe. Isn't that great? Dwell in awe. We all live in this beautiful world. And how many of us ever take the time to just sit and look at the trees or watch the birds or listen to the water flowing in the river or whatever? And what was that? And just watch the clouds. It's a great one. I mean, to just dwell in awe of this beautiful, beautiful planet that we have. It's amazing. Justin.
Since I can't see the clouds, I just imagine myself sitting up there with my former pastor. His name was Pastor Greg, and I imagine myself sitting with him up there in the clouds.
Outstanding. Thank you for that, Justin. And the 7th micro habit, the micro act of joy, is to be a force for good. Isn't that great? Be a force for good. So really create something good in the world. Be a force for that. Now, here's a shortcut based on science on how you can hack your happy hormones. We have happy hormones, it turns out. Okay, so one of the hormones is dopamine. That is the reward chemical. It fires in the hippocampus of the brain. So eating good food, delicious food, healthy food. Number 2 is achieving a goal, completing a task, and self-care activities. Those 4 can help you increase your dopamine levels. Endorphins are the painkillers, beta endorphins. So things to help you elevate your endorphins level include exercising, listening to music, watching a movie, and laughter. Laughter. How many of you practice laughing? How many of you practice laughing? Okay, let's all practice laughing. Ready? Come on, laugh with me. Come on, hey, we gotta laugh. Good. All right, good. Keep it up. All right, now, the next hormone is oxytocin, otherwise known as the love hormone. So socializing, physical touch, petting animals. I love that one. And helping others can all increase your oxytocin levels. And then serotonin, the mood stabilizers, increased with sun exposure, being in nature, mindfulness, and meditation. So those are your hormones that you want to enhance. So these are some good practices to help you. I'm going to come back to gratitude here for a moment. I love what Tony Robbins says, that when you are grateful, fear disappears. It's very powerful to understand. When you are grateful, fear disappears and abundance appears. It's very powerful to understand this. So here's your challenge, to understand this. And this is really important for all of us. Repetitive complaining will attract more things for you to complain about. It's the law of attraction. It works for all of us. Repetitive gratitude will attract things for you to be thankful about. So your mission, and I learned this from a powerful minister, her name was Edwene Gaines, out of Alabama. And Miss Edwene Gaines, she said, practice being grateful for everything in your life, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Even if it doesn't appear to be something pleasant in your life, be grateful for it because it's a blessing and a lesson. Ooh, now that's powerful thinking. And she also said, complain about nothing for 30 days in a row. And if you got to start over. So if you say, that's a complaint, start over. So you have to get, so she said, if it takes you the rest of your life to get the 30 days, it will have been a life well lived. Now that's the first level of the game. The second level of the game is eliminate complaining thoughts about anything for 30 days in a row. And that is a powerful level to play. I wrote a prayer of gratitude many years ago, and I say this every day. Thank you, God, for everything indeed is a blessing. My life is completely wonderful, and I have no complaints whatsoever. Thank you for the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives each and every day. Thank you for this food to nourish our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our souls. Thank you for this precious time that we have right here, right now, the present. And thank you for love that brings us together. For all there is fear or love, and we joyfully choose love. We choose love, we choose love, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Another practice to help you stay happy is to be of service to others. So we talked about conscious acts of kindness. No kidding, it makes a difference. It changes your hormones. And then practice reading, learning, and listening to people who have wisdom to share with you. John Wooden even said, be a student of good books, particularly the Bible, he said. And then mindful eating. Practice mindful eating, not mindless eating. Far too many people drive through the drive-through and are eating in the car, and they're not mindful about what they're eating at all. So practice mindful eating. Be grateful for the food that you eat and how it nourishes you. Practice surrounding yourself with positive people and positive energy. There is a term called forest bathing, and in Japan, doctors prescribe forest bathing for so many of their patients because they have one of the highest suicide rates in the world in Japan because of stress. So they actually prescribe 20 minutes of walking in the forest every day. So practice that. It's a very powerful practice. So you want to do that as well. Practice the 4 agreements. This is a great way to actually empower yourself. These are not easy practices, but they will absolutely make a difference. Be impeccable with your word. Speak only from the space of truth and love. Don't take anything personally. Easier said than done, right? Absolutely. And don't make assumptions about anything. Have the courage to ask questions. And then always do your best in that moment. These are great practices, and they will change your life and help you to become happier. Now, one of the most important practices, I want to share this with you because it's so important. We show that people that are unhealthy many times have an emotional component, and that is resentment. Far too many people, especially with cancer, we see resentment as a major component. So a very important practice to becoming happier is forgiveness. Absolutely. Anyone can hold a grudge, but it takes a person with character to forgive. When you forgive, you release yourself from a painful burden. Forgiveness does not mean that what happened was okay. And it does not mean that person should still be welcome in your life. It just means that you have made peace with the pain and you are ready to let it go. Dr. Wayne Dyer, he said that forgiveness is an act of self-love. No kidding. It really is. And I love what Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. said, that forgiveness happens the moment you say no to carrying the pain and let go of it all. Letting go, as Thich Nhat Hanh said, gives us freedom. And freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our head we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. He was a powerful teacher. So this kind of is another thing that I said a long time ago, 5 powerful practices of extraordinary human beings. Accepting others just as they are, apologizing for our transgressions, forgiving and letting go of the pain, being grateful for everything, and acknowledging others for their contribution to us. Powerful practices. All of this can be summarized in one word: love. Love. How many of you have heard about the gentleman that actually took out money for billboards that say this word, just like this, the love billboards? How many of you have heard of that? Absolutely extraordinary. It's to really practice love. There are many dimensions of love, and the first thing that I try to encourage people to do is to learn to love yourself. So many of us are too critical and too hard on ourselves. And when we do that, we detract from our own happiness. Only when we love ourselves can we truly and authentically love others. I love the term in Swahili. It's Ubuntu. Ubuntu is how can one of us be happy while the rest of us are miserable? Ubuntu means I am because we are. We are. It's realizing that we're all together. We're all one community. It really is. And when we learn to love others, we learn that we're not the only sentient beings on the face of the planet. We can learn to love all the animals. All all the animals. Isn't this a precious picture? It's extraordinary. Like, really, we can learn to love all the animals. Why would you even want to murder and butcher an animal like this after a hug like this, right? How can you actually think of doing that? I can't think of it. This is an extraordinary experience. And when we learn to love all animals, we can then learn to love our Mother Earth, because we have this beautiful planet. And let me tell you, there are so many beautiful places, and we need to understand how important it is to love our planet, because there is no planet B. There is no planet B. This is it. And we have a responsibility as adults, each and every one of us, to leave a legacy to our future posterity, to take care of this planet so that our children and our future grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, will have a wonderful planet to live on. So I thought I'd show you my 4 children. This is my family. So this was taken Father's Day 2 Father's Days ago on Pismo Beach. So those are me and my 4 sons. So my invitation to each and every one of you, when in doubt, choose love. Choose love. As I learned from Donald Walsh, who actually wrote Conversations with God. And he said, everything in this universe is an expression of God's love or a call for love. So when in doubt, choose love. I think that's powerful. When we're able to accept and transcend our fears with acceptance and love, instead of obsessing over them, we connect to a higher dimension that allows us to access both internal security and external abundance at the same time. And this is a man who gave up his seek for accomplishment to pursue his passion in making a difference in other people's lives. Kyle Cease, really extraordinary. And I love the quote from Helen Keller. How many of you know how extraordinary she was? She was amazing. And one of my favorite quotes from her is that life is either a daring adventure or nothing. Wow. So live it adventurously, boldly stepping into where we've never gone before, courageously accepting the uncertainty and being willing to dare bravely for something that's extraordinary. Life is a daring adventure or nothing. Lao Tzu, over 2,000 years ago, he said this: if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace and happy, you are living in the present. Great wisdom from a long time ago. I shared this with you because I love this particular graphic, the way of Zen. Simple wisdom that really is so powerful. Do one thing at a time. Do things slowly and mindfully. Connect deeply with people and nature. Meditate frequently. Appreciate silence. Expect nothing. Be grateful for everything. Observe without judgment. Consume less, create more. Let go of fears and desires. Listen to understand, not to respond. Be patient and generous. Love deeply. Live simply. Lots of wisdom there. Now, I saw this graphic and I had to share it. How to be unhappy. Stay inside all day. Move as little as possible. Spend more than you earn. Take life too seriously. Always consume. Compare yourself to others. Resent the successful. Avoid your problems. Never say hello first. Complain a lot. Be unreliable. And look for reasons why things don't work. You know people like that? I certainly do. Okay. And then invert that for happiness. Get outside each day, move, walk, exercise, dance. Spend less than you earn. View life as play. Develop a bias to create. Collaborate with others. Learn from the successful. Recognize your problems. Be the first to say hello. Compliment a lot. Be reliable. And be the one who looks for solutions. Yes! Who's ready to take that on? Yes! Awesome. Now remember this. There's a long line in the world. Most people line up for pills and medications. That's what they're lining up for because they want a quick solution. There's almost nobody in the line for lifestyle change. I want you to be courageous and get in line for lifestyle change. Say yes. Yes. Okay, very good. So all the lifestyle medicine areas are important. All of them make a difference in you living a happier life. They all do. So here are some other lifestyle practices. Drink more water. Eat more whole grains, legumes, fruits, and veggies. Move more. Reduce your alcohol, smoking, and caffeine levels. Improve your sleep habits. Breathe. Appreciate others. Have a gratitude journal. And practice happiness. All your happiness practices. Remember, this is about progress. It's not about perfection. Just make progress. Keep making progress. But you're going to notice something very interesting. If you commit to this, if you commit to creating a happier life for yourself, you will notice something very interesting. Because if you commit to this, your new life is going to cost you your old one. Okay? But you got to be okay with it because it's going to cost you your old comfort zone and your sense of direction that you used to have. It's going to cost you your previous relationships and friendships. It's going to cost you being liked by them and understood by them. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Salud y amor. Okay? Because the people who are meant for you are going to meet you on the other side. And you're going to build a new comfort zone, an extraordinary comfort zone around the things that actually move you and your life forward. And instead of being liked, you're going to be deeply and profoundly loved. Instead of being understood, you're going to be so powerfully seen for who you authentically are. And all you're going to lose is what was built for a person you no longer are. Be willing to let it go. So how many of you would like to make the rest of your life the best of your life? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now, imagine up here, as Einstein said, imagine what would that look like for you? Would it be a life filled with joy and happiness and vitality and having so much energy? By the way, next session, I'm going to talk about optimal athletic performance at any age. Okay, that's the next seminar. So be prepared for that. It's going to be awesome. Would you have a life filled with health, energy, vitality, and fun? I hope so. That's what you can imagine? Great. But where are you now? Are you there yet? Chances are you're not. But how will you get from where you are now to where you want to be? Simple. You all know this. You've already done it. You need a plan. But do you have a plan that's actually proven to work? Most people do not. I do. I have a plan, and it's coming out next month. All right? So my 4 steps to creating a permanent, thriving, healthy, happy lifestyle. Begin from within, a proven strategy, consistency, and support and accountability. That's what you want to be able to have. So you need these 4 parts to create that permanent transformation. That's what it takes. I'm going to also have a flyer coming up. At the next seminar, I'll have it ready, hopefully, and that is for my 12-week lifestyle medicine immersion program that corresponds with my book. It's amazing. Can't wait to kick that off after Labor Day. And then I do lifestyle medicine consultations for people. I also do one-on-one coaching for people as well. I also do lifestyle and performance medicine in the workplace, one of my favorite things to do. Here's my contact information. But I want to leave you with this quote. This is my son, Gabriel, on the surfboard. All right? And this was at Pismo Beach. So life is not a journey to the grave with the intention to arrive in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. And so you want to have a great ride, and that's how I'm going to go, and I hope you will go as well. So, questions, insights, ahas, opportunities, comments.